What is up, my dudes? Today's episode, we have our top 12 fantasy wide receiver rankings. Talk a little bit about Xavier Worthy. Does Tyreek Hill still got it? Is McConkey regressing? Justin Jefferson overhyped maybe? And much more. Before we get into our wide receiver rankings here, I just have a couple polls on fantasy wide receivers I thought we could go over before we get this thing going here. So first one here, I have a little bit of a fantasy regression post I did, a little poll. Which rookie wide receiver regresses this year? McConkey, Brian Thomas Jr., or Malik Nabers? We had 170 people vote on this, and if you guys want to vote next week, head over to TFF Dudes on X and follow these polls.
I don't know, Trent, like if you look at, we're going to talk about wide receivers here soon. I have all of them in the top 12. So like, I don't really see them any of them regressing. I think Ladd would be the one that I would say. I know that people will probably say Brian Thomas with the addition of Travis Hunter. You have a questionable quarterback play in Trevor Lawrence. I just think Brian Thomas is that good. Like, I just think he's that good. I don't see Nabers regressing at all for what it's worth. So I don't their quarterback play is probably better, I would say. Not much better, but probably better. And so Ladd would be the one just because is his target share, like he had a crazy high target share, crazy high amount of catches towards the end of the year. Is that sustainable? I don't know. I tend to think that none of them really regress. Maybe they regress a bit, but to where I think they're all still going to be top 12. Were they all top 12 last year? Or was Ladd?
I believe they were all top 12. Ladd might have just been top 15. I know he wasn't top 10. I'll pull that up right now. But right now, looking at this here, we had, where are we at? Okay, 41% said Ladd McConkey, 35% said Brian Thomas Jr., and 23% said Malik Nabers. The only reason I could see, I still think Brian Thomas Jr. is top 10. What he finished as last year, wide receiver 3. Am I right in saying that? Like
him and Nabers are like 3 and 5, or were something like that. Does that sound right?
I'm pulling the finishes up right here. Yeah, so he's one that like maybe CeeDee Lamb surpasses him this year, right? Or maybe I don't know if Mike Evans is. Yeah, so Brian Thomas finished at 4, and Ladd McConkey finished at 12. And then Nabers was 7.
Was at, yeah.
And that's counting week 18.
So if Nabers finishes at 9 and Brian Thomas is at 5, I guess that's technically regressing, but is it really regressing? I don't really know,
Yeah.
It's like right there. So I don't know. I think both Thomas and Nabers finished top 10. Like that's what I'll say. And I think Ladd's right there too, but if Ladd was like at 13, 14, 15, I guess that would be regressing too.
Yeah. So I'm one of the biggest truthers for this guy. Well, both of these guys, really. Should Marvin Harrison Jr. be ranked ahead of Mike Evans in fantasy football? I did see a lot of sites. I think Fantasy Life has Mike Evans ranked behind. Sorry, PFF has Marvin Harrison Jr. ranked ahead of Mike Evans. Are you willing to have Marvin Harrison Jr. be ranked ahead of Mike Evans yet?
No.
There's a lot of smoke with him right now. Like I'm as high on Marvin Harrison Jr. as I think as anyone. I don't, even looking at my rankings, I'm like looking at him, I'm like, man, how do you put Marvin Harrison Jr. above Mike Evans? What?
The argument for it is that Mike Evans has a lot more competition for targets than Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm-hmm.
But also Marvin Harrison Jr. has the best other player next to him. Like Trey McBride is better than Godwin, McMillan, and Puka. And what's the tight end for the Bucks?
Otten. He's not terrible.
Otten. Yeah. So but Trey McBride, but there's also less competition in Arizona, which just Harrison and McBride, it feels like.
Yeah. Harrison did have eight receiving TDs last year. So I think he can get that double-digit mark. It just, Mike Evans is like a lock to fantasy wide receiver.
He missed a ton of games last year and still was right there.
1,000 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I have that. And then a couple more here. I have, so 179 votes, 53% said no, 46% said yes. So maybe that's as close as you thought it would be, maybe not. And then, all right, who would you rather have in fantasy football, Tyreek Hill or T. Higgins?
Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek
I think
Hill,
I'm higher on Tyreek than the field this year for sure.
Yeah. Tyreek Hill, 45%, T. Higgins, 54%. I have Tyreek Hill above him too. I think you're dealing with a number 1 or a number 2 in a really good offense. I think I'm going to go Tyreek Hill with just a little bit more because T. Higgins, he had one of his better seasons last year, but it's hard.
The argument for T. Higgins is that Bengals defense is going to be so bad, they're just going to have to really just chuck the ball.
And then one more, or I have a couple more. Garrett Wilson or Marvin Harrison in fantasy football, Jordan?
Gosh. I'm going to go Marvin Harrison.
54% Marvin Harrison, 45% Garrett Wilson, 213 total votes. And I believe that was the last one. So some good polls there. I'm going to keep trying to do those weekly. Better fantasy season, Jordan, Brian Thomas or Nico Collins? Probably our most voted poll I've done on X.
Brian Thomas.
I'm going to go Nico Collins, 732 total votes, 54% wow. Nico Collins, 45% Brian Thomas. Getting some traction there.
I'd be curious like what the reasoning for that is. You think it's people trust Stroud more than Lawrence? I mean, I don't know.
Maybe Stroud more than Lawrence, and maybe no more Tank Dell, no more Stephon Diggs. Not that Stephon Diggs was there. And Nico Collins finished the season pretty strong in that game versus the Texans and stuff like that. He had a good closing to his season.
I think that a lot of people are worried about Travis Hunter taking away targets from Brian Thomas.
Did you like how they did 2 posts for signing Travis Hunter, the Jacksonville Jaguars? Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw it.
It threw me off because I replied right away like, hey, that my dynasty team doesn't like Travis Hunter signing as a defensive back. And another guy replied right away like, don't worry, dug deep here. They did 2 posts. One as a wide receiver, once as a defensive back. So gave us all a little bit of a scare there, which maybe isn't that funny. So that is all I have there with the polls. Let's jump into our rankings. I believe Seth will be jumping on here shortly. I have our top 12 brought to you by our friends over at Sleeper. Guys, head over to Sleeper. Absolute best place to play fantasy football. Redraft, dynasty, keepers, whatever you want to do there. Constellation champions. Everything at Sleeper, fantasy football-wise, dynamic payouts, a little bit of DFS. Enter promo code DUDES100. Match up to $100. Not just the DFS. Go over there for the season-long fantasy as well. No better place to do those dynasty drafts than right now on Sleeper. Guys, head over there. All right. Top 12, Jordan. We're going to start these off. Do you want to start as a wild card finish first, and we'll go through the top 12? Does that sound good?
No, sure. We do that.
Okay, we normally finish with the wild card finish. Maybe we'll just get it out. I got Marvin Harrison Jr. as my wild card finish. I think he makes it as a wild card top 10 finish is kind of how I looked at this. As a wide receiver 1, we'll say top 12, was Marvin Harrison Jr. He didn't crack my top 12. I just see all the 8 touchdown catches, like I said earlier. Kyler Murray and him, I think it's a better duo this year. I know he's still not technically probably the number 1 option there, but I just think he makes the jump here, kind of like how JSN made the jump last year as well. So I got Marvin Harrison Jr. as my guy that I think is some wouldn't say is a wild card finish to finish within the top 10. What do you think, Jordan? I know PFF and Fantasy Life doesn't have him in their top 12.
Yeah, I mean, I think his upside for sure, like his ability on the football field, his talent for sure is definitely worthy of that. So, I mean, the guy was a first-round, second-round pick last year in almost every single format you were drafting in. So I don't hate it.
And I think that's going to help his ADP this year. I think guys are a little skittish off of what he did last year. And I think you take advantage of that. You think maybe you're able to get him as that wide receiver 2 now rather than what he was last year, which was a wide receiver 1. I'm going to just look at what he's going at on Underdog right now. So I think as a number 2, you should be pretty happy with that. Position-wise, he is going as wide receiver. Where are we at here? He's going as wide receiver. He's going after Rashee Rice. He's wide receiver 15. So he's quite a bit different. He was like what, top 7 last year wide receivers?
Yeah. You were getting him like end of the first round, early second round. So you could end up with like a Jamar Chase, Marvin Harrison combo almost maybe.
And this is something I have coming out tomorrow. And let's be another poll. Do you think last year, we all talk about the quarterbacks, was last year the best rookie wide receiver class? I don't know of a more recent memory. Maybe was Jefferson Lamb in the same class? I think they were, huh?
I'd have to look at that.
That was a Jefferson Lamb. I think we're in the same class. So, it's close. They're definitely better. All right.
What was the Jamar Chase class?
I thought Chase was he was the year after Jefferson, huh?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think Chase. Yeah. Chase is like with us, Devontae Smith and Jalen Waddle.
Okay. So I'm going to just look up that one. And we in that one have. Where was Puka, though?
He's 23, right?
Yeah. So Lamb was with Jefferson, Ruggs, Judy, Higgins, Pittman, Ayuk, LaVisca Chenault, Claypool.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. But you think that's as good as this last one?
This last year's one was pretty good.
Ladd, Nabers, Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison still hasn't done anything really yet. So I thought Van Jefferson was a lot older.
Adunze. Yeah. A.D. Mitchell. It's a pretty good one.
Yeah, so it might be up there. Okay. All right. Then your next one you have, Jordan.
Speaking of another one from that class.
Yeah.
Xavier Worthy. Exactly. So I have kind of two, like, I think one of these, Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy, has a decent chance of being a top 12 wide receiver. It's just hard to know like which one it is, you know? They're kind of going similar spots from what I looked in previous rankings, so I think if you can pick which one of these is the right one, you know, maybe it's been a while since Mahomes has supported 2 like top 20 receivers, but I think, you know, if you can pinpoint which one is going to be the guy there. I think Worthy has more upside for sure. Rice's floor is a little bit higher probably, but I think one of these guys
also.
I am buying the the Chiefs coaches saying that they want to get Mahomes back to how he used to be, you know, throwing the ball a lot more, throwing the ball deeper, and I think Worthy plays into that a lot.
Yeah, I like Rice more just because of the PPR and also like weird post I saw. Who do you like? Probably giving it away here. They said biggest screen merchants in the NFL. Do you want to guess who the top 2 are, Jordan? Guys who throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage and get the most yards.
From receivers, like the receivers?
Quarterbacks. What quarterbacks get the most?
Oh, Mahomes is one of them for sure.
Mahomes is number 1. He leads the NFL in screens, yards from screen passes. He has 3,000 since 2021. He has 3,343 passing yards on throws behind the line of scrimmage.
It's basically since Tyreek left.
Yeah.
So it's like they've changed their offense since Tyreek left.
So who do you think number 2 and 3 are?
Man, I don't know. Is Tua one of them?
Tua is not in the top 3. Not to say he's not top 10. Tua is second on most passing touchdowns on throws at or behind the line of scrimmage, though, with 15. Patrick Mahomes is in first with 24.
Man, I don't know, Trent. I don't know. You got me.
Jared Goff.
Purdy one?
Jared Goff, 2,428. And in third is Baker Mayfield with 2,207. Joe Burrow at 10th with 1,785. So
the Goff one makes so much sense. I don't know why.
It makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Yeah, I thought you might get that one. And then, so I saw that post. I was like, I got to take that. I said Tua was passing yards, but so it just said screen merchant with Patrick Mahomes. I just thought that was kind of funny. That there, but then the other stuff, the Goff one made a lot of sense to me. All right, so you have Rice / Worthy. Rice is going at Worthy's wide receiver 23 on underdog, and Worthy is Rice. I think I'm mixing them up. Worthy is wide receiver 23, and Rice is wide receiver 12. So
yeah, so Rice is going a lot higher on underdog.
A lot higher, yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. So then wide receiver 12, you have A.J. Brown. I have A.J. Brown at 11. A.J. Brown missed a lot of games last year, Jordan. When I was making this, I didn't realize that and factor that in, is the amount of games he missed. And he was on pace to be really good. He doesn't seem like a guy who gets hurt to me either. So, yeah, missed 4 games in 24.
I didn't love how he looked last year, to be honest, parts of the year. And so I don't love Hurts' his ability, I don't know, with his arm. And so Devontae Smith's still there. Why do I feel like they brought a third receiver in?
It was kind of a guy, was it somebody from Washington or something? It's not like a huge threat, though, who they brought in. But A.J. Brown was on pace for 1,411 yards. Yeah. The only guys who were on pace to have more receiving yards than A.J. Brown were Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And then Puka Nacua and Nico Collins averaged more yards per game than him. Were the only 2 guys. So you take those 4 games out. He didn't finish extremely high. It was one of his worst fantasy seasons, but you still finished as wide receiver 18. The guy who I think we should all be lower on, and we are, is Devonta Smith. And I think Saquon falls back a little bit. You know, we did the wide receiver rankings, but I think that A.J. Brown I think he's still in that top 12 tier where he does really good. Who'd they bring in, did you say?
It was it's nobody. It's like Terrence Marshall from Carolina. I mean, there's not a whole lot there.
Yeah. I feel like, something that was like almost equivalent to the Cowboys Mingo trade or something, I thought. I have A.J. Brown at 11. You have him at 12. I have Mike Evans at 12. I just think that until he just doesn't do it, I'm going to keep putting him top 12. You don't have him in your top 12, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I don't have him. I went back and forth between him and A.J. Brown. I went A.J. Brown's.
PFF and Fantasy Life don't have Mike Evans in their top 12 either. So, do you have
There's
Terry
just more
McLaurin?
competition for targets. They what?
You don't have Terry McLaurin either. Neither do I. So, Fantasy Life and PFF.
I mean, there's some contract stuff there, and I don't know.
So, the biggest name that surprised me not being on PFF or Fantasy Life's top 12s was probably, I'm going to say Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. I know Devontae's young and he's going to the Rams, but it just seemed weird not seeing him on there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't even consider ranking either of those guys in the top 12.
Yeah. Where would you put Marvin Harrison in your like top 20? Is he like 15 for you? Over or under 15?
Probably like somewhere past 15, like 16 through 20, somewhere in there.
Okay. So, okay. Then you have Tyreek Hill at 11. Fantasy Life has him at 12. PFF does not have him in the top 12. I don't hate this. I was just having trouble who to put Tyreek Hill over. Like, I want him in my top 12. I didn't know who to put him in over.
So, like, I just think that this is a guy who was pretty good. Like, pretty good for a long time. He played hurt, I think, most of last year. He also was playing with subpar QB play most of the year. I just think he's going to get back to it. Like, I don't think he plans on playing forever. So, I could see him, like, just going all out this year. I know he talks about retirement a lot. He's 31, which it's on the older side for a receiver. But I feel like receivers can play a little bit longer sometimes. Sometimes they take a little bit less wear and tear on their body, you know. And Tyreek, I feel like, runs away from everybody. Yeah, and he runs away from everybody, and it's just like, I don't feel like he absorbs a ton of contact, you know. So I don't know. I think Tyreek has a little bounce back season. I'm not saying he's going to be top 5, which he's been, like, what he's been drafted the last 5, 6, 7 years, you know.
Yeah, nice. But I think he's wide receiver 16 on Underdog. One spot.
Yeah, I just think it's too low. I think it's just too low. So I'll probably end up with a lot of Tyreek Hill in Underdog or in best ball this year. And I think we get a little bit of a bounce back. Again, I'm not saying it's like crazy bounce back, but you should not be surprised if Tyreek Hill's a top 12 wide receiver next year. That should shock absolutely no one.
Yeah. And just looking at, like, I brought up Devontae Adams, like wide receiver 19 on Underdog right now. Mike Evans is wide receiver 20. I think best ball wise, I feel like Mike Evans should be higher up because he has more boom games, I would say, than most guys. Would you agree with that? I know he's old, but he's kind of one of those guys that will have a blow up. And then Tet McMillan is at wide receiver 21, one spot below Mike Evans. Seth has joined the chat. Seth, we're at wide receiver 10. You want to kind of quarterback this a little bit and just go down the list?
Yes, I can do that. So we're at 10 for Fantasy Life and PFF. They both have AJ Brown at 10. Trent and Jordan, you have the same guy at 10 here if you want to talk about him.
We both got Ladd here, Jordan. And this is kind of where we talked about the regression. And I guess this is high compared to what he was last year. This would actually be better than what he was this year. Or this past year.
Yeah, no. But like, again, like you made me choose one. So I had to choose
yes,
one,
exactly.
Like I don't really, like I said, I don't think any of those three regress. So I like Ladd a lot. Like, I mean, I was not as high on him last year, and I think I was just wrong. So it does worry me. Like, I don't know. Like, but again, like second year in the league, I just worry about his durability a little bit. That's kind of my one concern. Like, if you tell me that he's like he doesn't finish in like inside the top 20, like the only way is if he gets hurt. But Herbert's gonna look for him. He's gonna give him the ball, and I think we're gonna see the Chargers offense throw more early on than they did last year. Last year they ran the ball a lot, and they really started relying on the throw towards the end of the year. I think we see more of that this year, early on.
Yeah, like you said, his floor is too good, Jordan, with the PPR. It makes too much sense for him to be there. He's wide receiver 11 right now on Underdog, one spot below AJ Brown, actually. I think he only gets better sophomore-wise, is with Herbert, second year in the offense. I try not to get my hopes up too much for Chargers. I really do, because it's just kind of seems nature of the beast. I do feel like with the Chargers, though, you're getting rid of all red zone passing TDs, I almost feel like. It'd be interesting to look at, like, what did Justin Herbert throw for red zone TD wise? I feel like they get there, they run the ball. Now that you have Hampton and Najee Harris, I feel like that's just, your 1-2 punch battering ram you have there in LA. I don't see Harbaugh as a guy Harbaugh definitely doesn't strike me as a guy who's like, hey, run the 1 yard line, let's throw 2 jump balls. Really, they don't have a jump ball wide receiver there anyway, so that's probably good. It's not.
Well,
Quentin
I mean,
Johnson.
they have Mike Williams now.
Oh, he's
Trent.
back. You're
Your
right.
old boy's
yeah,
back.
You're right.
I will say,
and they also drafted Trey Harris out of Ole Miss.
Yeah, that's can compete there. A similar role though to Ladd, but I guess really if you look back at the games, because I remember watching those games because I needed Ladd McConkey to have big games in those last few weeks of playoffs because I had him and he ultimately, won me a championship. But all those plays he had touchdowns on were all bigger plays, like they weren't like short yardage passing like touchdowns. Like they were kind of big plays. Like I think was it 5 touchdowns he had in 3 weeks? I think it was all 5 of them were pretty big. They weren't like short yardage stuff.
Yeah, Trent, he only had 7 touchdowns. I mean, it wasn't like
in the last 2 weeks.
Anything crazy.
Yeah. He had 25 fantasy points in the championship. He had 11 in week 16 and 14 in week 15. So he only had 2 games where he had over 20 fantasy points, finishing as wide receiver 12. So
Trent, he had, I was trying to look, like he had an 86-yard touchdown. I was wondering if I could see the length of his touchdowns, but I don't know if I can look that up.
Yeah, that's probably a tough thing to look up there. So we both, what was his receptions though, Jordan? Maybe his reception, he strikes me as a PPR guy. Yeah.
Let me go back, see if I went too far. He had 82 on 112 targets.
That's pretty.
1149.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So Lad McConkey at 10. And we have at number 9.
Mhm.
Do you feel like PFF? What Seth? Yeah, Seth, take over here.
Well, what's interesting is we have 3 in common. So I feel like what's interesting is PFF are very similar on wide receiver rankings compared to Kings. Like we did QB and we've done running back. I feel like they've really differed there, and where wide receiver they're pretty similar. And it's probably because I don't know. Like I think it's kind of hard to break into this top 12 receiver category, right? There's like quarterbacks are a little more variable. I feel like receivers consistently, these guys are in the top 12 due to maybe sometimes injuries, bar injuries, like I feel like that's usually how it goes. For some reason these all seem like to line up pretty good.
Well, if receiver feels like the easiest position to predict too.
Yeah, it's true.
And project.
Yeah, and another, like, who do you see from last year not cracking the top 10? Here's last year's top 10 fantasy wide receivers. You had Jamar Chase at 1. He's going to be there. Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown at 3, Drake London at 4, Brian Thomas Jr. at 5, Malik Nabers at 6, Terry McLaurin at 7, CeeDee Lamb at 8, Garrett Wilson at 9, JSN at 10. I have Terry McLaurin is not a guy cracking the top 10 this year. Is there anyone else on there? You're thinking Garrett Wilson?
I think Terry and Garrett Wilson don't crack the top 10.
Quite
and
fair.
Jason. I don't think Jason does either. I don't think all 3 of them crack the top 10.
Okay. Yeah, so there's the list there. But
I think Jason has
I had
chance.
a lot of people. Yeah. I had a lot of people come after me on this, like, why don't you have Puka in your top 10? He's a lock. And I said, well, actually, this is last year's ranking. This isn't my prediction of what it is. This is just last year's finish. So that's why. Yeah, one guy came at me and said, Garrett Mid Wilson has and never will finish top 10 in fantasy points. And I said, well, this is last year's top 10, unfortunately. So
he did.
All right.
That's hilarious.
Sorry.
I love people. It's awesome.
Yeah. No, I didn't put that in there. I did not.
Were you
word it
baiting
correctly like
people,
that.
Trent?
I wasn't trying to bait. No, I'm not a baiter.
Seemed like a bait.
Keep going, Seth.
Yeah, that's
You're
what they
gonna get
called
me in
Trent in
trouble.
high school. Like bait, fish bait. Bait.
Hurry up, jailbait. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, there's
Seth,
some jokes
go.
here we could take.
What do you mean? I
So
guess we
many
could go to
jokes
9, go to 9. Drake London. Let's go. PFF and Fantasy Life have
Yeah.
Drake London, and so does Jordan.
Yeah. Are you baiting
Yeah,
me,
so
Seth, or what?
I just oh gosh. You have Drake London here. I think with Michael Penix there full time, it's a pretty big upgrade, and I honestly didn't realize he was that high for you said last year. So obviously this would be a regression for him, but I don't know. I think he's pretty solid. I feel like his floor is high, ceiling's high. I like Drake London quite a bit.
Yeah, Drake London's stats are kind of week 18, he had 35 fantasy points. And so he finished
Yeah,
as
that will
wide
boost you
receiver
up.
5. I wonder, if he only has 15 fantasy points, because he had 230 fantasy points. Yeah, he would have finished behind Drake May and probably Malik Nabers if he doesn't have that explosion the last week of the season. Yeah. I forgot how many games Malik Nabers missed last year. So we're at 9. I have Brian Thomas Jr. here, Jordan. Are you just like about to come
Yeah, this is
unglued
the
because of
biggest variance
Yeah,
in this
I mean,
list right now.
Yeah, I don't see it. I don't get it. So explain yourself.
And I
I'm
will say
thinking Travis
PFF
Hunter
has
could-
the same ranking of Bryant Thomas as Jordan, and Brian Thomas on Fantasy Life is more closer to Trent's, I will say.
He's at 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's at 7.
Yeah, this might be the most widely ranked, this might be the most guy that people have in different spots probably in almost every single ranking, ranking to ranking.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about Travis Hunter. I just think he did so good last year, Jordan. I just think he regresses a little bit. I think that's going to be hard for him to finish at 5 again. Plus other guys coming in there. I guess it is. It's Travis Hunter, And I just think he did so well last year. He set the ceiling so high. Like, he could do really good next year and finish as wide receiver 15, and people won't be happy with it because of how he did his rookie season. Like, I just think he comes down a little bit. That's why I don't have him quite. You have him at 3.
Trent, how many games of 100 yards or more you think he had?
Last year, I'm going to say 5.
He had 4.
Okay.
He also had how many games do you think he had below 50 yards receiving?
I'm going to say, let's just go with 4.
He had 5. How many games below 30 yards receiving do you think he had of those 5?
Oh, maybe 2.
He had 3. He had one with 12 yards. Like, so there is, Trent. Like, there is some meat on the bone there still.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a 47-yarder, a 48-yarder, 27, 22, 12. I mean, his most was 132. He had, let's see. How many games below 5 catches do you think he had?
I'm going to say 2.
He had 7.
Okay, wow. What was his touchdown line, Jordan? Do you have double-digit TDs?
He had 10 touchdowns.
Okay.
He had 4 in the last 5 weeks. It's his last 5 weeks, Trent, that really kept him going. Like, that last 5 weeks, he had 10 for 105, 9 for 132, 7 for 91, 7 for 103. Sorry, that last 4 weeks.
Yeah. His worst game from his worst game from week 13 on was 12 fantasy points. He had 20 in the championship, 23 in semis, and 27 the week before.
I mean, like,
so
he had a stretch, Trent, like a 2-week stretch where he only had 4 catches for 34 yards combined.
Yeah. So if Lawrence,
there is meat, like,
yeah. So you're okay. You're like, I don't think Lawrence can play much worse. Like, I think they have a better offense. They have a better quarterback. Yeah.
And I know there was multiple games where Lawrence missed Brian Thomas wide open. Like, I know that. So, like, I'm just saying, like, I think there is more meat on the bone than you think. Maybe the touchdowns come down, but I think the yards and the receptions can go up.
Yeah. Usage definitely should be up. So you're not worried about Travis Hunter at all?
I mean, I just think Brian Thomas is that good, to be honest with you. So I think he's the clear number 1 there. But Trent, they also vacated Christian Kirk targets. They also vacated Evan Ingram targets. Like, I should look at the Jaguars, like 2024 Jaguars targets. And because I think there's a lot of targets being vacated. Let's see if I can.
This was the guy I voted for as biggest regression, by the way, was I had Brian Thomas Jr. on my list, not last.
Yeah, so you lose Christian Kirk, Gabe Davis, and Evan Ingram. So, I mean, you do return Brenton Strange, who I think will have a good year, but
and I like
Christian
Strange.
Kirk, Gabe Davis, Trent, like, there's 89 targets there between the two of them. I mean, you give a good chunk of those to Travis Hunter. You know, I think then you're right in the same kind of spot that you were before.
Yeah. So I have BTJ there. Felt like Jordan probably isn't that mad about this because he was just so mad doing his rankings. Saying this because you have him at 3, Jordan. PFF has him at 3, like Seth said.
I just think
Jags also signed De'Ami Brown for what it's worth.
Yeah, I don't think Travis Hunter's going to crack the top 12. You know, I don't even know if he'll be in the top 20. You know, it depends on how much he plays. There's a definite chance, but he is going to eat into Brian Thomas's numbers, which I do think Brian Thomas finishes top 12. I just tend to agree. I don't know if I necessarily agree with 9 where Trent's at, but maybe more 7 where Fantasy Life has him. Yeah. I necessarily don't agree with PFF. I think it's too high. But, I mean, just an opinion.
But don't you think that Travis Hunter also allows Brian Thomas more freedom? Like,
no, for sure. I totally agree.
Brian Thomas. And so he's going to get on islands in one-on-one situations. And
he is more of a receiver. It's just, I guess it comes down to, you know, like there is a T. Higgins, like Jamar Chase effect, right? They can support 2 top 12 receivers.
I don't think Jaguars defense is going to be very good.
It's
so,
possible
that
they completely air out the ball, right? And it's like that. But if you think the Jaguars maybe are a better team, it's not going to be. I don't know. I think 3 is just really hard to be there. Like, I don't know.
I'll just say this: Liam Cohen was the Bucs OC last year. They chucked, right? Like they literally chucked the football all around the yard last year. So I don't think it's going to be. I mean, Liam Cohen is fine throwing the ball 50 times a game like we saw in Tampa last year.
Jordan, do a dollar bet with you here. Brian Thomas, not top 5 fantasy wide receiver.
I'll do that.
Okay. Seth, you want in on it or are you good?
Want in on what? I'm good. I'm not that strong opinionated on it.
Yeah, and honestly, like, I think if Brian Thomas Jr. finishes as a wide receiver 15, like, I think that's still a good pick by the Jets. People will be furious if Brian Thomas Jr. finishes outside the top 12 in fantasy football. Absolutely furious. Because those guys that had him last year, they're, what's his ADP on Underdog right now? Head over to Underdog, guys.
Got to be 5.
Best ball, enter promo code DUDES, match up to $1,000, best ball drafts, season long plays, all that good stuff. Also did a best ball draft with Commissioner Rhino. That will be coming out later this week on YouTube. Give us a sub, give us a like at TFF Dudes. Brian Thomas is wide receiver 8 on Underdog. So a little later than what most guys, that's about what Fantasy Life had him at. TD line on Underdog. What do you guys think it is for season long play?
For Brian Thomas?
Yeah.
8.5.
8.5.
7.5.
Probably about right.
Might need to go smash that a couple times, Jordan.
No, because I could see him finishing like 7 touchdowns.
Okay. Seth, what do we got next here? What's Jordan have?
So at our number 8, Jordan has Nico Collins. Trent, you have ASB. And so does Fantasy Life. And PFF has Malik Nabers there at 8.
Yeah. Jordan had Drake London at 9. I think you might have said that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we talked about him.
Mm-hmm.
I have Amon-Ra St. Brown at 8. Fantasy Life has him as 8 as well. What did he have? 14 receiving touchdowns last year. The year before he had like 2 and got tackled on the 1-yard line like every single game. Do we think he gets over the 12 receiving touchdowns again this year? I love Amon-Ra St. Brown. Again, I just think it's going to be hard for him to repeat that all those TDs he had. Do you know how many touchdowns he had, Jordan, off the top of your head, or no? I think just with where he's at, he's wide receiver 6 on Underdog. I kind of like that spot for him, even though I have him at 8. I don't like.
He had 12 last year.
Okay,
12 touchdowns last year, 10 the year before.
Yeah. So I have him, and I think everybody wants to talk about JMO. That's another reason. Like, if you are high on JMO, how much does that hurt Amon-Ra St. Brown? I know there's a lot of big play.
Trent, they were both top 12 guys last year. Wasn't JMO like? JMO was like 12 last year, wasn't he?
I think he's lower than what you think. I have him. He is 19.
What was he in PPR?
That's half point. So PPR, I can tell you right now. Wide receiver 22. That's K18 though, Jordan. Yeah, that's counting week 18.
I thought I saw that he was like top 12 last year. Must have been. I don't know what else.
There's a lot of buzz that people think he's like potentially the number 1 there in Detroit. I'm not buying that either. But
no, I don't buy that.
They get him involved a lot, but he also might do a push-ups in the end zone and get suspended a game. Like, the guy's kind of crazy. So that's what kind of so Amon-Ra, I like him at 8. He's a guy, though, also that, like, if I saw him in a draft, I don't think I could pass on him. Wide receiver in these first rounds, where I'm leaning.
Always go wide receiver.
Would you pass Amon-Ra Jordan in round 1 if he was on your?
I mean, it all depends on who else is out there. Like,
yeah, I don't know.
I have a hard time. The ASB Nabers one is close for me. The Amon-Ra Nabers, that's close for me.
I thought I'd be higher on him.
Yeah, I have Nico Collins at 8. I don't know. They drafted a bunch of receivers, both the Iowa State guys. They signed Christian Kirk. Still got Mechie there. Signed Justin Watson. I don't know. Like, I like Nico. I like the Stroud bounce back a little bit. I feel like Nico's going to go too high for what I like. And I just kind of like guys above him. It's not like a knock on him, just like other guys above him.
Nico's wide receiver 7 on Underdog, one spot ahead of Brian Thomas Jr. right now. And I think, man, with the guys who aren't there, and when Nico played last year, Nico was good. Like, I've said this before on here, all the games he missed last year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, missed 5 games last year. Finished as wide receiver 22, one spot behind Tyreek Hill. Like, he plays the whole season. I don't see how he doesn't finish top 6. With the gives him and everything.
You said he played how many games last year?
He missed 5 games, not counting the bye.
Okay, but so did Malik Nabers. And Malik Nabers finished like wide receiver 7 last year.
True. Yeah, I think Nico's more of a TD guy though than Nabers, I think. And yeah, because it comes down to quarterback play.
You know what I'm saying is that you have him ranked way above Nabers, and Nabers did the same thing Nico Collins did. Actually better. He was way better. Nico Collins was wide receiver 22. Nabers was wide receiver like 7 last year, played 13 games, and played 15 games. 15 games. So he played a couple more. Okay, my bad. Let's get the wrong number there.
Yeah. So, 6 games total, not in your lineup. One of those was a bye. I think the big play, like Nabers it just takes a little bit of competition. And I don't know if Nabers do you like Russell Wilson as a Nabers guy? Like, I don't know. Is that kind of his, like, I don't see Wilson locking in on Nabers and throwing to him every single play. Do you? Like what they did last year?
But I mean, I think to a point there will be. I mean, I think so. Trent, I think Nico Collins is going to have more competition in Houston than you think so. Like, Christian Kirk is still good. Jaden Higgins is an absolute stud. I don't know if you watched him much at Iowa State, Trent. Higgins and Noel were both really, really good at Iowa State. So I wouldn't especially Higgins. That's a big receiver. Go up and get the football. Noel's more of like a smaller possession guy. And
is he kind of like
draft capital on them?
Yeah. Nico's a big guy, so he's kind of like a decent, and they kind of had to, like, not knowing what's going on with Tank Dell, like, he's not playing. Nico Collins, big wide receiver that you can just, when you watch Nico Collins last year, he's just, his
How
first
big
game
is
he had
Nico?
6'4", 222. He's big.
Yeah, Jaden's also 6'4", 215. So, I mean, it's the same exact,
Yeah. And I don't know if he got, but you look at this, he had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games over double-digit targets, so I don't know what his TDs were, but 9 TDs, I believe, if I'm counting that right. I'm not seeing a total. I'm just counting in my head. So, Texan, maybe that's the result's not right there. But yeah, yards were there. He went over 100 yards quite a bit. Had a good playoff game, I believe, versus the Chargers. So
I think the competition is going to be there more than you think. And I don't know. It's like Trent. The guys I have ranked to have Nico Collins, it's not really a knock on Nico Collins. It's just, we have good receivers. You know what I'm saying? So
the top 12 is hard. When you only do 12 guys in there, there's a lot of guys I'd like to throw in there. I believe I had Terry McLaurin in my top 12 last year. That was probably one of my better hits, and he's not in there this year. Like, I just don't see it happening again. Where are we at here, Seth?
Yeah, up next, if we go to number 7, we already talked about Brian Thomas a little bit and Drake London. If you want to talk more about Malik Nabers, if we want to go into that, a lot of these guys we kind of already talked about.
We kind of talked about Nabers.
Yeah, we can get into.
You have him one spot ahead of me, Trent.
Yeah, let's.
I almost switched London and St. Brown here. I almost put St. Brown at 7 and London at 8. Kick that one around a little bit.
We can probably skip London. 6 as well because we talked about those guys. PFF does have CD at 6, and both you guys have CD at 2. I don't know if you want to talk about that now, but that is something to think about. We could go to 5. Let's go to 5. Trent, you have Puka and Jordan, you have Justin Jefferson. Those are both.
I feel like
Trent, that's the biggest variance for you with JJ with Jordan.
Well, it comes down to Trent likes JJ McCarthy as a quarterback, and I don't like McCarthy as a quarterback at all. So I mean, Trent had JJ McCarthy ranked in his top 12 at quarterback. So like, he better have Justin Jefferson ranked number 1, because the only other way JJ McCarthy's getting to 12 is if Justin Jefferson is the number 1 receiver. So like, I just don't like JJ McCarthy as a quarterback. I don't believe him as a quarterback.
Jordan is on record saying he can't throw.
Well, I mean, he can throw a football, but he can't throw a football accurately enough in the NFL. So, like, I have Justin Jefferson at 5, just based purely on my respect for Justin Jefferson as an athlete, as a football player, as a wide receiver.
I feel like everyone was low on him last year except me. I think I still had him. I remember getting a lot of flack for my Justin Jefferson take last year, and I said the same thing. I said, I don't think it matters who's throwing this guy the ball. They are going to get him involved. Let me just see what I had him at last year. I have him higher, I'm pretty sure, this year. Where is that?
Well, you did not have him at 1 last year.
I don't think I had him.
I just don't see how he has more fantasy points than Jamar Chase. I think your ranking of Jamar Chase is too low, but
Jamar Chase. Yeah, so my ranking of Jamar.
We can get there.
Yeah, okay. So just to see what I had him at last year. And these rankings are all over the place. Where I can't find. Okay, I can't find it.
So you have Puka at 5, Trent. You want to talk about Puka?
Yeah, I had Lamb at 1, Hill at 2, Jefferson at 3, but I was the highest on Jefferson. Jordan, you had him at 5, and Seth, I don't know where you had him, Seth, but so Puka. Man, I am just a Puka guy. I really like Puka, that he gets fed the ball when he's healthy, and that's the problem is health-wise. He wasn't in the top 10 last year because he just wasn't healthy. No more Cooper Kupp. You do bring in Devontae Adams, who I think is better than Cooper Kupp. I'm basing this off him saying, if I thought for sure Puka would stay healthy, I'd have him higher up, but I think he misses games every single year, so I'm going to keep him at 5. You have him at 4, Jordan. When Puka's healthy, is there a better, like, he's in that with McVay?
He's really good.
He's really good. Like, I don't know if I would say he's better than CeeDee Lamb or Jefferson, but the offense and the scheme with Puka Nacua healthy, like, smash start, play him every week no matter what. He's that good. I just, because of his health, I didn't want to put him any higher.
Okay, but Trent, you also have Nico Collins ranked above him, and Nico Collins has been hurt every single year he's played in the NFL.
Yeah. Yeah, 4 and 5.
So, I mean, it's the same stuff. So, like, Puka had 1 year of being hurt. His rookie year, he played every single game.
Okay, then last year he missed. I felt like he missed time his rookie year, too. Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong.
No, he didn't miss any time his rookie year. He just came a little bit later. Or maybe
yes,
didn't.
You're
I
right.
Can't even remember, but he played all 17 games his rookie year.
Okay. Yeah. So, I wanted to put... Yeah, so I wanted to put him higher. Like you said, Nico, probably similar like that. Nico doesn't have... I think Devontae Adams is a lot better than anything Nico Collins is dealing with, but Puka showed he can deal with that in the past with Cooper Kupp being as good as he was in the past. Now, what other differences do we have here in this top 5?
So, number 3, Trent, you have Jamar Chase. I have Brian Thomas. We've talked about Brian Thomas a lot. I'm really high on him. So, you have Jamar Chase at 3.
Jamar Chase not at 1. It's
just
wild,
crazy, but
yeah.
Okay, who was the last wide receiver to finish number 1 back-to-back years?
Just
Tyreek?
Nope.
Justin Jefferson, because you have him there?
No.
Is someone like more than 10 years ago?
No.
But not Tyreek. And not
it doesn't. Guys don't go top 1-to-1 back-to-back. It's rare. And we have good wide receivers in the NFL. It's been a while.
Who did it?
Antonio Brown. Last guy.
What years?
2014 through
That's
2017.
10 years ago.
Antonio Brown was wide receiver 1. Seth,
well, 2017
wasn't. Yeah, so from 14 to 17, Antonio
He did it
Brown
4 years in a row?
Yeah. I think I
Jamar
looked on
Chase.
StatMuse. Yeah, he's always up there. But yeah, it's like wide receiver, running backs. You usually don't get those guys going back to back like that. A lot of guys have T. Higgins in the top 10 too. I feel like that hurts him a little bit. I do know the Bengals defense still isn't good, but I just don't think he goes number one back-to-back years.
Okay, I mean, that's fair. I just think having him not at 2 then is crazy, and maybe that's your CD fandom coming through a little bit.
Yeah, there's some CD fandom there. Yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. But I also have CD at 2, but you just said Justin.
Yeah.
Really what this comes down to, Trent, is you are insanely high on the Vikings offense with JJ McCarthy, and you are a Cowboys fan. So that's why Jamar Chase is at 3 for you.
Well, and when last time Dak was healthy the whole season, CD finished as wide receiver 1. George Pickens wasn't there, but last time Dak was healthy, and Dak where he's
at the end of the day, these guys don't matter. Like, other guys there don't matter. They're going to get the same targets they always do. Like, it doesn't matter who's there. Other better receivers next to them help them. It opens things up for them.
Yeah. No, I agree. And CeeDee Lamb, a lot of kind of line him up everywhere, does it all. Jefferson. I'm wondering if with number 2s, we probably need to redo that, just offensive receiving core rankings. I was thinking doing that next week after tight ends, receiving core ranking. This week, I don't know if we really need to do that. We'll let Seth get his rankings in before we do that, probably. That's my main reason. Jamar Chase. Maybe it's a lame one. It's just historics. And I want to say it's very similar with running backs. Probably been more recent one, but it just shows you
running backs make more sense to me than receiver, just because there's more, I think, injury variance and like game script variance that goes into running backs.
But no one had CeeDee Lamb. Well, some people might have had CeeDee Lamb as wide receiver 1 in 2023. I don't think anyone had Cooper Kupp ranked wide receiver 1 overall in 21. Devontae Adams, maybe some guys had him ranked number 1 in 2020. That was kind of a weird year. Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas was wide receiver 1 in 2019. DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, but wasn't he really good? Yeah, I think Michael Thomas was good the year before that.
Yeah. 2013 or it was 2012. I can't remember. It was Demaryius Thomas. That was just wild, seeing that name on there. So it's been a while. So I did go dig deep a little bit on the, a lot of things have to come out perfect to be wide receiver 1. And I don't know. I just wasn't going to go repeat with what everyone else had. I don't think you'll be mad drafting any of these guys in our top 3. I think you should have one of the better teams if you get Jefferson, Lamb, or Chase. Those are 3 guys I don't see myself passing on.
You get the number 3 overall pick. No, see, you're higher on Jefferson than I am. So
yeah,
1 and 2 is easy though. It's Chase. For me, it's easy. If you're the number 2 overall pick, whoever doesn't get picked there, you just take. So
yeah, if I had the opportunity to take Jefferson or Lamb, I don't know what I would do. I think I would go.
Well, you better take Jefferson.
I would think, 1. I know, but just being the Cowboys fandom on the clock, I don't know if I could do it, Jordan. I think I'd go Jefferson just because I have him number 1. But same with would you take Brian Thomas or CeeDee Lamb if you had the opportunity, Jordan? You'd still go CeeDee Lamb?
I'm going CeeDee.
Okay. So where's your tier line right there? Is it CeeDee and Chase, or
CeeDee and Chase are in tier of its own?
That's tier. And then your next tier would be Brian Thomas to Jefferson on your list. I could share it here.
Probably Brian Thomas to Nabers. Probably. I think 3 through 7 is real close. I think you're splitting hairs with a lot of them.
Yeah. So
I will be low on Justin Jefferson. How about that? I have him at 5 out of respect. I don't think I'll end up with a lot of Justin Jefferson this year.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know if there was something there where you were so your tier, Jordan, is right here.
Yeah, so it's those Lamb. 2.
Yeah, and then you'd go Brian Thomas all the way to Nabers, or would you go
Nabers to Nabers. Okay. And then it's Nico Collins and down. It's probably the next. Yeah. Okay. All
right. So think that has it with our rankings. Huddle wise, without Phil in here, I don't know if Elon lit off another rocket that Phil thought he should go watch that. Not sure what's going on over there, but who really knows?
Maybe Phil thought he had to prepare for the draft.
Maybe he thought he had to.
He didn't realize that. He didn't realize that he's over 28. He can't get drafted anymore.
Maybe he's working out. I don't know. It seems like a shake weight guy. Other stuff we have that I've seen on here with NFL wise, with the huddle. Man, what did I have? Jordan, you kind of threw me off there planning for the draft. I don't know. I think if there was a war, they'd just tell Phil to wait for the next one, Like he's got to have flat feet or something, Seth. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I got flat feet. That's for sure.
Yeah. And you wear Crocs. So
I wear Crocs. It helps.
I think that would have helped.
It does.
Yeah. Seth, Jordan, we had some people get mad at you last week about your Ashton Jeanty take, and I know I kind of, for clicks, maybe framed you not looking as good as you did, with you just going off on Ashton Jeanty. Should I read some of those comments? I thought a comment of the week might be kind of fun. Get people start commenting on these videos, or are they too far,
Go
Jordan?
for it. I care less.
Okay, so one of the best ones was, this guy looks like he watched football games from the band section. I thought that was a pretty good one there.
Not accurate, but sure.
What'd he do against Oregon? 33 brokers tackles against Penn State. I really don't want to tell me anything. You are a joke. Raider Nation, baby. So, that sounds like just Raider fans.
I wish that guy could speak English, start speaking English, and I might respect what he has to say.
Yes. I'm a Raiders fan, and I'm a bit worried about Jeanty. I bet him a lot, and against Penn State, a defense comp to NFL, he looked very average. Raheem Mostert's a Raider now, though. Abdullah and the kid from Georgia. All right. Thank you for that, Peter Velois. And then whose full name I won't use said, this is big, coming from a Jaguars fan. This guy said, this guy looks like he wears rainbow underwear. This guy said, Marshall Faulk played for San Diego State. Wonder how that worked out. Josh Allen, Wyoming. Lots of good stuff, guys. Give us a follow at TFF Dudes.
Not sure how does Josh Allen going to Wyoming correlate with Ashton Jeanty and
I think they're just talking about
the running
small
back
schools. I don't know.
So real quick, Trent, because I went and did the research on this, and a lot of people gave me crap on there. Oh, you think only SEC? At the running back position, what was their trend? I think 3 of the 5 years I looked since 2020. Half 10 of the top 20 running backs from the SEC. I think at the running back position, big Power 5 conferences matter. The SEC historically produces at least 40 to 50% of the top 20 running backs every single year. So that is not
might be all
some
positions,
crazy
though.
take. What do you mean?
Don't you think that's all positions though, like wide receivers, cornerbacks?
But
yeah,
I mean,
offensive and defensive linemen for sure.
Don't you think, defensive linemen, O-linemen, running backs, those positions are that's the physicality. That's where physicality matters, right? And so linebackers too, I think you see more small school players, quarterback, receiver, where the physicality doesn't matter as much. And I'm not saying Ashton Jeanty is going to be awful. I think he's going to be a good running back. But I do think there's some so I'm just back
your argument was more this year. Yeah, you were calling him.
It's not long term.
Yeah, you were calling him up term, and I think that's where people got mad at you.
I'm just
as much
saying
as I want to,
think he's being overvalued this year.
As much as I want to hang out and stick up for the masses, I think Seth would agree. And then I don't know, Seth. Is there anything Seth? What's your guys' takes on fanny packs? Phil was kind of making fun of fanny packs the other day, and I said this means a lot coming from a guy who wears. I think they're stupid.
Just put them in your pocket. I don't know.
You can hold so much more, though. I'm not saying I'm going to get one.
What else would you need to hold besides your phone and a wallet and keys? What are we doing here?
Knife? AirPods?
A knife and AirPods. Are you kidding me?
I would
Knives
love
have
you to pull out your
a pocket
knife,
clip,
your
and AirPods can fit in your the smallest pocket in the world.
Jordan,
Trent's getting robbed, and he's Trent's getting robbed, and he's let me pull out my knife from my fanny pack. Hey, give me a second. Let me unzip this and pull it out.
Yeah. I don't think people with fanny packs get robbed, honestly. Like, I think a guy with
It's an easy
alpha
target.
like me,
You just pull that thing right off.
That's true. You're right. You never know what you'll find in a fanny pack, though. Think of your snack game, Seth. If you wore a fanny pack to work, how much snacks you could stuff in there. Think of all the Uncrustables you could put in there, Gushers, fruit snacks. Like, it's kind of an endless possibility of what's in there. Seth, you could put some of your Legos in there and play with those at work.
Why would I? The fanny pack at work is the stupidest thing. I could see maybe wearing a fanny pack when you travel, or I don't know, like outside of like going to work. Like I work in an office and I sit down.
Disneyland's got to be the.
It is literally no more than like a fashion piece. That's literally what it is. Like all the guys who I see wearing fanny pack as like some sort of flex. That's just cringe.
No, Seth, over the age of 30, I don't think you should do stuff fashion-wise. It's like practicality. Fanny pack, I'm not saying I'm going to wear one. I am not. I do see times where I'm like, I carry a backpack everywhere. It's like, you know what? What if I just got a little oversized fanny, threw it on my back? I don't know.
I don't know. I just think it's dumb.
You could have extra pair of socks in there, whatever.
It's literally not.
I think
no one carries extra socks.
Yeah, because no one wears a fanny pack anymore. I think
no
that
one wears a
fanny packs actually make sense. I'm not saying I'm going to do one because I think everyone, would make fun of me, to my face and behind my back. I don't think it's worth it.
As they should.
I don't know. I don't have anything else in here. I had that. Phil made fun of someone for wearing a fanny pack. I thought that was wrong. I didn't think it was that bad, just depending, where you're at. I think there's a lot of possibilities with a fanny pack. And you can, all kinds of stuff. Seth, you could put a whole pack of Zyn pouches in a fanny pack. Did you think of that?
Yeah, you could. You could put more than one.
You could.
A lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Good.
Yeah, you can mix flavors, whatever. Yeah. I think that's all I have here, guys. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to throw onto here, but Seth, unless you have a nice story, Seth, where you got ran off the road recently, I was stuck behind a guy who was going 40 on Mountain View today. Had to double check, make sure it wasn't you, Seth. But I don't know. I don't think there's anything else here to talk about. Just digging for some content here. Seth's making fun of fanny packs. Again, second week in a row, he's wearing a hoodie in the middle of summer. It was over 98 degrees here. Not sure what's going on, Seth.
Nope, it didn't go over 98 today.
Hooded t-shirt.
Not true. High of 88.
What was the temp?
It was cool today.
Yeah, tomorrow's hot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, sorry, my bad. All of a sudden, I agree. I'm a dummy. I should be wearing a hoodie right now.
Should.
Anyways. All right. Well, we'll see you next week, guys. Got the tight end rankings coming. Might do some receiving cores rated. And I think that's all. We'll see you next time, guys. And as always, check us out Thursday. Got that best ball draft coming. And as always, take care.